Hello there everybody, this is Smitty here from Tales of Gaming Addiction, a YouTube channel where we talk about gaming and all of that good stuff. So, as a thing for hitting 50 subs on the channel recently, I put a question out on Twitter on what video people wanted me to make before the 2016 is over. And, well, the votes were cast, and you wanted me to talk about the lore of the D&D game Tales of Fumbles and Fortunes. Let's begin. Beirun, Eberron, Dragonlance. We've all heard of these worlds before, all created for a purpose. Our one is no different. It begins with the dragon god Io. He ventured into the infinite dark and came across our world. With it, he saw promise, and with a mighty roar, he shed his scales and spawned the first life, the Prime Dragons. The Prime Dragons are demigods, with forms to match their mighty power. Their titanic forms creating the mountains and valleys, their wing beats, the winds and tides, their tears filling the vast oceans. However, they felt forlorn without their creator, so they cried into the infinite dark hoping to bring Io back. Instead, they received his children, Bahamut the Platinum Dragon and Tiamat the Mistress of Dragons. In a very rare universal occurrence, they answered the pleas of the Prime Dragons, and they shed their scales telling the Prime Dragons to do the same, and thus created more life. These became your bog standard dragons, and the Dragonborn, the first civilization. Soon after this, other pantheons arrived, hearing the call of the Prime Dragons in the infinite dark. First off, we'll start with the Elves. The Elves began with two deities, named Izanagi and Izanami. See where I'm going with this. Between them, they thrust their spear into the oceans and pulled forth an island that the elves would call home. This spear then grew into a mighty tree, known as Senayu Yari, or Holy Spear. From this, it spawned the elves. The ones who arrived on the south side were greeted by the sun, and thus became the High Elves, or Sun Elves. And they worshipped the sun and began to call it Amaterasu. The ones that spawned in the north emerged in the dark, and thus began worshipping the moon, and they began to call it Tsukuyomi. A third race of elves did spawn from the spear amongst their kin, and they became the Wood Elves, and they worshipped the gods of nature.
Now, by contrast, we dwarves had a much greater beginning. It started with Odin the Allfather, striking at a mountainside. He found the perfect ore for his creations, and with the help of his son Thor and a god named Muradin, they crafted the starting healthy race of dwarves. From then on, we've been feasting, drinking, and fighting our way across the mountains.
Oi, short stack, and am I recording both?
Aye, lad, I heard you the first time. I'm out of here. Gonna have me some drink.
Anyway, sorry about that. Dwarves tend to get in places they shouldn't be. Lastly, we only have two more races to talk about. Man and Orcs. We'll start with Man, as they began under an unknown deity. However, they proved cunning and resourceful. They started to raid the lands of Dragonborn elves and dwarves. The Orcs, likewise, also have this path, but they actually know, and we know as other races, their name of their deity, who is Grumash, the Orc god. And they too ravaged lands of other civilizations with much greater ferocity. That was until the great calamity befell them all. It is still unknown what caused the event that we call the Dragon War, but we only know this much. The Prime Dragons fought each other, and their battles were endless. Their titanic powers tore the land that they created. That clash of power drew back Io, who was shocked to see his children fighting each other. He tried to calm them, but it had failed. So, with his tears, he taught a spell to a few select wizards. It was a seal for the Prime Dragons. A seal bound the Prime Dragons to selected bloodlines, keeping their powers in check. The ones blessed or cursed with the seal gained long life, and they became the sorcerers of the world. However, the damage of the Dragon War was done. It caused the entire world to suffer. The Dragonborn lost their home to man. The elves took their islands above the sea and secluded their woodland kin onto the land and banished them from their cities. The orcs began to ravage unchecked, and the dwarves retreated to the mountains to rebuild their mighty keeps. This is the way the world now exists, a state of fracture and distrust, and powerful magi and bloodlines. So, thank you all for listening and enjoying this little tale. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was a joy making this as well. By the way, I do like writing the lore down and spreading it out a little bit. So, if you want some more information about the races, culture and all the rest of it, give this video a like and leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button, as when the new year rolls around, you can keep up with Tales of Fumbles and Fortune, which will be returning in 2017. From all of us here at Tales of Gaming Addiction, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.